Alrighty, what do we have today? Oh boy, there is a lot happening in this kingdom. So, for starters, trashing. You get counterfeit can trash coppers, mountain shrine trashes, hermit trashes estates, tanuki. Probably trashes either coppers or estates here. There's decent cheap things that you could turn coppers into. So plenty of thinning. Draw. There's Ronin. Terminal draw to X. Could play nicely with Squire, for example. There's Rice Broker. Rice Broker trashing treasures isn't net draw. So you're turning 2 cards from hand into 2 more cards from hand. But Rice Broker, for example, could kill Poorhouses for a bunch of draw. Mountain Shrine can eventually be draw. And Mountain Shrine trashing a card isn't net draw. But notably, the trashing is optional. So like you put a card in the trash and then play Mountain Shrines for just the +2 cards not trashing, and then you're increasing your hand size. So we got some amount of draw. Villages, we got Squire. Is that it? There's a second village. Was it the riverboat? What's the riverboat again? Yeah. Bandit camp. I knew I saw something earlier at the start. So riverboat is a village as well. We got villages, we got draw, we got trashing, and we also have plus buy with counterfeit and Squire. So we got everything needed. Knights could matter a decent bit here. They don't hit some of the stuff, but they hit everything else. So probably you're building an engine that plays a bunch of knights, I would think, is a likely goal here. How about the events? You get biding time. If you play Mountain Shrine 5 times, you activate this. It's good pseudo thinning. If you want to get rid of your coppers or estates, use trigger biding time, and then you never play them and leave them in your hand forever. And they go from hand to hand each turn and never back into the deck. That could be potentially relevant. A little bit awkward here. It makes Mountain Shrine actually look a little bit worse, because if you aggressively play Mountain Shrine, your opponent can just sit back and you eventually activate biding time, and then they benefit from it after you've thinned a bunch. Continue. Return. How does this interact with Hermit? You enter a non-attack action card costing up to 4. Return to your action phase and play it. So this actually seems... I don't think I've seen this 2-card interaction before. Continue is obviously very new. But Continue Hermit actually seems very good to me. You get to play the Hermit immediately. Let me just double check I'm reading this right. Hermit has gone through some changes. It used to function a little bit differently. At the end of your buy phase this turn, if you didn't gain any cards, then so this works. You start your buy phase, you buy Continue. You gain a Hermit. You play the Hermit in the action phase. Then you return to your buy phase. You're in debt now. You probably buy nothing. And then because that second buy phase you took this turn, you gain nothing in that buy phase, the Hermit turns into a Madman. So basically, Continue, the cost of 8 means you can gain a Hermit, play it, and turn it straight into a Madman, which seems really good. And then Gather. Gain a 3, 4, and 5. Well, there's no 4s in the kingdom, so part of that doesn't seem all too hot. So you can gain a 3 and a 5, so like 7 and 1 buy versus 8 and 2 pies. Gather doesn't seem super important here, but like the 3s are decent. There's a bunch of 5s you want. I could imagine Gather coming up. Add a good 4, and Gather starts to look a lot better. So we've seen all this stuff going on. I'm not any closer to knowing. I'm a little closer. I'm closer, but still not all that close to having a well-formulated vision of the strategy here. How do you open? I think I like turn 2 Hermit, specifically Continue Hermit. Go into a bunch of debt, but you got a Madman already, and you already trashed an estate. You're basically turn 2 buy Hermit versus turn 2 Continue for Hermit. The difference is you're taking 5 debt extra to trash an estate and gain a Madman, and that seems like it's worth 5 debt. With that in mind, what do I want turn 1? Probably a Copper Trasher, so maybe it's just Mountain Shrine Hermit. Decent bit of synergy there. Again, Mountain Shrine seems a little bit silly. I'm opening with like 2 thinners and getting very thin. Activating Biding Time doesn't help me very much, which is the main argument against Mountain Shrine. The other Copper Trashers, I'd rather have a Counterfeit or Rice Broker, but they both are at 5. And I'm going to debt turn 2. I don't really have an easy plan for hitting 5 quickly. I can't do double Continue Hermit. I wouldn't have enough money to pay off the debt after the first one. I could do Open Hermit turn 1 and then Continue Hermit turn 2, and then I have 2 Hermits in my deck. What does that look like? That doesn't sound so bad, right? Buy a Hermit turn 1, continue for Hermit turn 2. I have 2 Estates in deck, 2 Hermits in deck. A Madman hopefully draws me all of that. And then I could continue and turn those 2 Hermits into 2 more Mad. I think that line is sounding pretty good. I'm not sure. The trouble is Madman's not quite enough draw to guarantee you find both Hermits with 2 Estates. But there's worlds where this works out. So, interesting, the bot does Continue Hermit turn 1, which means you're going to be in debt turn 2 and can't do anything. I think turn 2 Continue for Hermit seems better. Also, the bot would have the better split for it. 3-4 is a better split for the line that I'm wanting to do than my own split of 4-3, because my line gives me 1 more debt, whereas if you have the $4 hand turn 2, you end up only having 4 debt instead of 5. Am I happy about this draw? And I bottom decked everything. On the other hand, I bottom decked both my terminals with the village, so maybe it's not so bad. Okay, I really, really bottom decked everything. Okay, well now I gotta think. Bot's going for Mountain Shrine. Curious. I could just gain something. Gain a Riverboat, buy a Squire, leave this Hermit in my deck. I could gain something by nothing. Let the Hermit advance itself. I could continue another Hermit. Actually sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I'll be in debt up to my eyeballs, but I advance both Hermits. I have 3 Madmen in the deck. I'm drawing my deck pretty easily off of that. Yeah. I wonder if there's a line where I can gain and trash a Squire, gaining Dame Natalie mid-turn. That might be viable. Do I need 3 Hermits for that, or just 2? Oh, I'm definitely gaining the Hermit. I think I'm going to gain the Squire right now. We'll see if I can't gain and play Dame Natalie this turn. Madman. 4 cards left in deck. If I play Hermit and trash Squire, I have 5 cards in hand and I draw Dame Natalie. That seems nice. Actually, there's a 50% chance I draw one of these instead. But whatever. Ooh, I really want Sir Michael. Sir Michael seems quite good here. Do I want Sir Michael enough to burn a Madman just to play? Or I'm getting Sir Michael anyway. Do I want to play Sir Michael enough to burn a Madman just to draw 2 cards? Or I guess 3 cards technically. I might. I think this is worth it. Seems like the discard attack hurts. Probably buying nothing and letting these Hermits advance. So I probably want 1 more Hermit. Is that true? I don't need another Hermit. All the estates are dead. Maybe it's just a Riverboat now. Kanuki. Exciting. Do I want to put a silver in my discard? I could draw it immediately. I wouldn't have the +buy to make use of it, I don't think, right? I've only got the one squire. I can gain a squire off of Dame Natalie, but I can't draw at the same turn. So I think the answer is no. I don't want to do that. Although as I say that, I'm realizing I can't play all these anyway. So maybe it was a moot point. Why did I only see one card? Okay, I don't know why I didn't see the Madman there. Okay, so the bot doesn't necessarily have a lot of cards that the knights can trash, but the discard attack still hurts a bunch because they have a Madman in their deck. And Madman draws a lot of cards if you have cards in your hand. But if you play Madman from a 3-card hand, you're drawing 2 total cards, which is nothing impressive. So playing Sir Michael reliably is important here, mostly just because it keeps the Madman at bay. Given that I only have the one buy, this might be a good turn for Gather, actually. Probably a Copper Trasher is next in order. Rice Broker versus Counterfeit. I think both of those sound better than Mountain Shrine to me. Quite indecisive between these two. I think I'm just going to go with the Rice Broker. Ooh, the bot's doing Squire stuff too. Oh, darn. I was about to say, oh, they got a mediocre knight in the form of Dame Sylvia, and they left a good knight on top with Sir Bailey, but then they grabbed Sir Bailey too. Alas. Darn. I'd much rather Dame Natalie trade with Dame Sylvia, but you have no way of knowing where in their deck the knights are. Alright, I've got 3. That's nothing special. How am I intending to draw here? I don't think I've ever really answered that question. I think a copy of Ronin seems likely to be good. On the one hand, Riverboat gives you a larger starting hand, which is worse for draw decks, but it also gives you villages. So like your incoming Riverboats that play your Bandit Camp rely to play a terminal and then play Ronin. I think a copy of Ronin seems good. And then maybe I do eventually want Mountain Shrines. There are actions in the trash already. But maybe I just want a Mountain Shrine now. Can I support that? The villages are kind of limited. Maybe I take a Squire now? I don't know. I'm conflicted. Possibly the best draw here is just gaining much of the cheap actions and then trashing them with Rice Broker, because it doesn't use up any terminal space. Unclear. Very unclear. I do need draw. I guess Mountain Shrine it is. If I had 5, it would be Ronin, but I don't. I also might want a second. I guess I was gonna say I want a second Rice Broker just to thin my coppers, but Mountain Shrine will probably help with that. Okay, 8. Squire Ronin Mountain Shrine. I could gather, but if I was going to gather, I might as well. Well, I guess Gather for a 3 and a Ronin would give me 1 less debt when I buy the Mountain Shrine compared to just buying the 3 and the 5 directly. I think Squire looks like a better card here, probably. I kind of want Dame Molly. I just said villages are limited, so the Village Knight seems pretty good. I don't think I want it enough to pass up on taking more draw this turn, though. The bot might get it here. So be it. Squire into Dame Molly. Okay. Sir Destry seems alright. Just draw. What's the split on knights now? I think it's 3-2 in the bot's favor. Play one of these. Ronin. Biding time is now active, which means if I don't want to play both these, I can just leave one in hand, which is probably what's going to happen. Do I need the buys? Let's see, this is -1 money, but I have 6, 7, 8, 9 in hand. So probably if I play the Riverboat, I'd buy Gather maybe. Take another Riverboat and Destry. If I play the Squire, I would have 9 and 3 buys to work with. That doesn't really sound better. So I think I've ruled out playing the Squire. Next thing to consider is, what if I continue right now? Does that fix any of my problems? Not really. Like if there were another Squire in the pile, I could potentially continue that Squire and then play both of these. A continue Poorhouse is kind of cute, isn't it? You play your treasures first, and then you play the Poorhouse for 4 money. The problem is you're getting a Poorhouse for 8, even though like, you're paying 4 of it back, but it's still Poorhouse. I think I'm just doing this. But because of biding time, I don't have to play all these. Leave 1 copper in hand. I guess if I get enough riverboats, that's actually totally fine. I was thinking of Squire as like the only village, but I think mentally I'm just kind of forgetting that riverboat, like a pair of riverboats is 1 village, because it gives you 1 bandit can't play every turn. Bot has 3 Tanukis, which is a whole lot of Tanukis. I have 0 Tanukis, which is probably too few, although I'm not sure when exactly I would have added 1, but it's a good card. Okay, this seems like a happy starting hand for Ronin purposes. Can't get my hand any smaller. Ronin now. Alright, 17. Oh my, look at this. A 4-cost card has appeared. I don't even know if I need to gather, but just the fact that I can, the FOMO is kicking in. If I don't gather now, when will I ever get to gain a 4-cost card off of? Yeah, I have to click gather now, right? Gather, gain Sir Martin, gain a bunch of 5s. 17 seems like a 7 and 2 5s, which sounds right to me. I don't think I get anything additional by playing this last copper, so I won't. Piles are lowish. I should be very careful. Riverboat and the knights can both run. Vander, I don't think I care about that much. Maybe a counterfeit and a rice broker. Counterfeit's gonna be good now that I have a bunch of spoils in the deck. If you counterfeit a spoils, counterfeit a spoils, you don't actually trash it, because when you play the spoils, it goes to its pile before you can trash it. So effectively, counterfeiting spoils is just like an extra 3 money for no downside. It means counterfeit's basically just like plus 4 coins plus 1 buy, which is not bad. Okay, play all these. Why does it look like that? Do I have 2 shadow cards? Is that possible? I do, Tanuki. Okay, what am I trashing with the Rice Broker? Am I trying to win this turn? I guess I should ask that question. Probably the answer is no. But winning this turn would probably look like, let's reconsider, trashing both of these squires at some point on the turn. That does not sound preposterous that I could win this turn. I have a decent number of squires, right? Yeah, I've got like 4 squires. I got plenty of actions. I don't necessarily need to play all these riverboats or anything. So I have an excess of actions. I don't need the squires super badly. I could trash 3 squires, gaining all 3 knights. How do I gain 3 riverboats and 7 points? I can play 1 squire for plus buys. That squire nets me, I get 3 buys, a 4th buy with the counterfeit. But I need at least 5 gains, right? I have the $4 knight that I gained just because it cost 4. That gives plus buy too. I think there's going to be a win here. I smell it. Perhaps I should have played the Ronin earlier in the turn. Now, how do I do this? Do I want to put anything in my discard pile before I trigger this shuffle? Probably not. Like, it doesn't benefit me to have Damiana in my hand. I think I just do this first. And then one of these. And then this just has to be a win. Not gonna bother counting it. That's most efficient. $16. Do I get more points by gathering? This really doesn't matter, but I'm kind of curious. So, gather twice. I can't gather twice. That wouldn't do it for boats. I have to buy at least 2 of these, right? I can buy 1 duchy estate, or I could gather and buy an estate. I think it's not making a difference. Estate, continue, play a hermit, trash a riverboat, gain an estate, attack. An interesting kingdom. The bot stack was a lot more boring than I thought it was. Maybe that's just how it ended up. I know I trashed a bunch of stuff in the last turn, incidental to the plan of that turn. My knight just happened to hit a lot on the final turn. I think 3 Tanukis, especially that early, seems like way too many. You're not reliably using all of those. I think Tanuki seems like a reasonably good card here, and I maybe could have fit one in earlier. But to me, a lot of the synergy, I would think, is you turn the coppers into cheap actions and then you trash them with the Rice Broker for draw, and I don't think we saw the bot do the back half of that interaction. So I think it's overbuying and underutilizing the Tanuki here. It's also a very good card in the end game, but we don't really get to see much of that. Aside from that, I think I was probably undervaluing the riverboat. Just the plus action from like it really is just like one half of a village. Like a pair of riverboats is a village, and I think there's a good chunk of the game where I wasn't really thinking about it as such. But it's like riverboats on 3 and then draw cards on 5 would have made for a perfectly fine deck. A lot of thinning, and I'm still not sure which of these was best. Rice Broker is basically Spice Merchant for a while, and then Trash for Benefit later. Counterfeit is just a generally good Copper Trasher. Mountain Shrine seemed alright. Like it is draw. I like Mountain Shrine strikes me as just like worse than all these other things that you want at 5. But its main upside is you can click it when you don't have 5 because it costs 5 debt rather than 5 money. I think that's the main case for it. I don't think you ever buy it on 5, but I think you can reasonably consider it when you have like 4, and just competing against this other stuff. There might have been more opportunities. Like I like the Hermit Continue stuff. There weren't other great Continue targets as far as stuff you want to gain off of Continue, but maybe there were scenarios that I should have thought about where just buying Continue for the return to action phase effect could have been useful. Like once you've got a Ronin in your deck, you could continue, gain, whatever, it doesn't matter. Poorhouse, for example, makes a lot of money back. And then you're continuing mostly just to get the treasures into play, and then your Ronin can draw more cards, as an example of how you might use continue usefully there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have exact thoughts about this game. A lot of stuff going on. We saw a little bit of all of it. I'm not sure exactly what I should have been doing more versus less of.